Okay. Boom. We're live.
What? We're live? Here we are.
Said to go live.
Okay, live we are. That's how we roll. Yeah. So today is Service Six Sigma for the service industry, and we have our special guest, Shaun Gross. How do you say your last name?
It is gross. At least
Gross.
that's what I was told. Yeah.
They didn't give you Gross. I called you Gross because I thought maybe it's not gross, you know?
Yeah. Well, either way.
It is what it is, bro. It is what it is.
At
So
45 years old, you just don't care.
that's it. Yeah, fair call. Hey, here we are. We have a whole new topic. No, don't do this.
First time seeing the the screenshot.
Yeah. So I thought it was interesting. Hey Benji, can you turn Shaun's volume up just a wee bit, or I'll try turning it up. There we go. Oh, it's not on my computer. Let me just check. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. Okay, so don't do what?
A lot of stuff. Everybody wants to talk about what to do, but I can tell you lots of things not to do and save a lot of headaches.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but this is the journey. Like I always say, Service Six Sigma, we get people who want to give back to the industry, and part of it is that meander through the personal and professional lives, looking for the gems. Sometimes the gems are the positives. You know, I did this and I did that and I got this. Other times the gems are the, what might be coined as a negative result, but it's still a positive result, where I learned this and I learned that. And I thought that was I thought that was very interesting, for you to say, hey, I want, don't do this or what not to do or whatever, as your banner. So we can talk about all the learning experiences. But so first, like to put you into perspective, is probably, the background, your background in the industry, how things have rolled along before. And then you can just pick any of the one points that you go, oh, Jesus, that's the one I'm going to start with. Excuse me saying Jesus, but,
Yeah. I started in the industry in 2007, and it was just a whim. It was all from dating a girl. Her dad said he was going to get the house and driveway and deck cleaned, and I heard the price, and I thought I could do it cheaper than that.
Hell yeah.
And for some reason, I just got online and just started researching. I didn't go buy one right then and do it. And I got, luckily, back in the day of the forums, Pressure Tech, Bob Williamson. I mean, I learned as much as I could on there, and then started going to events. But that started my journey. 07 was the first year I started actually washing.
Wow.
And like,
how old were you then?
You make me do math late here. I'm 45.
45. I was trying to do it, but my brain wasn't working well enough. 45. 07 is 14, 17 years ago. So
seems like forever.
Forever. A lifetime, right?
But before that, I went to 6 months of college. I've never been be able to do things, just read it by the books. Always have to be hands-on and to actually learn something. ADD, all that good stuff.
No, kinesthetic. I don't know about the ADD stuff. Like, I know they want to give us a label so that we feel comfortable with who we are, but the real, in a lot of ways, just we learn differently, and it takes time. If you don't learn the way the education system wants you to learn, then you go through a phase of not knowing if you're a loser or not because you're not fitting in. But Einstein didn't learn that way, right? He was a high school dropout, so just no, go
That's
away.
True. Everybody learns differently.
Yeah, it just takes time. When you're not the one that learns to become a lawyer or an accountant or a tech head or something like that, those guys all thrive on the education system. But if you're not the one of those guys, it takes time and good fortune, to steer you towards a career where you learn,
Right.
I mean, let's face it. I mean, you learned so much, you ended up the teacher, right?
Right.
Right.
So some of it, there's, like you say, good and bad and everything. Um, when I started, I wanted to learn every aspect of the business and do it all.
Right.
And, it was good to learn about things, but it's also, as we all know now, it's good to find what you're good at and the things you're not good at, hire, set systems in place. Because if
Yeah.
not, you're gonna burn out your body and your mind, which is exactly what I did. Which
Wow.
will be kind of the whole story in so many different ways.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I just started off residential. Then 3 years later, I was fortunate enough to get a big commercial job, the Opryland Hotel, where the huge convention is. We had
Oh,
a flood,
wow.
and so ended up we cleaned and sealed all the sidewalks inside, outside,
This
and
is
then
Nashville or Orlando?
Nashville.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
it flooded up.
how many truck? Okay, so tell us about that because that's Ben is a one truck business, right? And he's got this opportunity to get this the big shopping center or whatever it is in town. That's really difficult for that organization to. Well, you imagine it's difficult for that organization to give the job to a smaller business, and it's difficult for that smaller business to sell that big opportunity. So how did that come about?
They literally called me. I was fortunate enough. One, there weren't 5,000 pressure washers in Nashville at the time, and two, when I started my business, I literally bought a laptop and there was a button icon that said free website, and I clicked on it, and I just started learning how to build a website off of that. And since
Yep.
there's so much to learn, I was on there every single day for at least a few hours. And that's one of the big things with Google is activity showing that it's a real
Yeah.
site. I just went to number one and stayed there. So a lot of fortune.
Wow. And how
And
big was your business at the time that you got that gig? And then how much of that gig did you get? Like, to quantify it because it's such a
yeah,
massive place.
so I had a part-time employee, and
Right?
that was literally it, a part-time employee.
Wow. And then how much of the Opryland did they give you?
So the scope, so it was literally 60 days from when they were about to open. They'd already gone in, because it filled up some places in there like 20 feet of water. Majority or average, it was like 11 feet. Yeah,
No way.
yeah, that whole place was full of water.
Has that ever happened again when they've been open?
No, they installed a bunch of pumps and you know, they
Aren't they
spent.
so lucky that happened before they opened?
Well, no, they were open.
Oh, they
It
had
happened.
customers
Yeah.
and 20 feet of water?
Well, in some of the lower, we'll just say
Yeah,
average
yeah,
is
yeah,
like
yeah,
11
yeah, yeah,
feet.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But even 10 feet of water. I mean, I'm a big guy at 6 feet. I mean, I'm 4 feet
Yeah,
underwater at that point if I don't float.
yeah. Well, luckily, it's incredibly tall, but so
Wow.
all
Okay. So what was I mean, we've got a little bit of time. So what was the gig? Because I'm fascinated about this.
um, so they'd already had Servpro, whomever, come in and do all the bulk, the water
Flood
remediation, all that.
restoration. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was literally down to, for the interior, all the sidewalks, which we call aggregate, like the pebblestone.
Yep,
Been
yep,
there.
yep, yep. Been there. Yep.
Um, they wanted all of those pressure washed and then sealed, and then also all the aggregate sidewalks that basically around the perimeter of the building, and then some other odds and ends. And he just called me on the phone and said, "Hey, we just want a quote." I get there and he tells me about this, and I'm like, I need to come back another day because I need to. So I literally had to walk the entire hotel, measure every square foot, and in the end, so well, the scope of the work was what I just said, but he said he ended up hiring me because they were in such a time crunch that he needed somebody that he was sure of, that did what they said they were going to do, that were always on time, and that he had trust in. And I guess everything I did, I was always there or early and spelled it all out.
Wow.
And I was honest with them because it required reclaim in some areas. Well, most areas. I mean, we had places we could pump it to, but we had to use reclaimed surface cleaner.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I don't have it, but I know exactly what I need, which ended up being a PEV2 system from Sirocco from Jerry.
Yep, from
And
Jerry. Yeah.
And I just put a line item in there, and I said, this is what I need. This is exactly how it works. Da da da. And he said, go. Can you get it in 30 days or whatever? And I said, yeah. And so, and as we all talk about networking, I've never considered anybody competition. The old saying,
Yep.
or it's new saying, like, you're your own worst competition.
Yes.
But I mean, I've met a guy, Cliff Hatcher. You probably may remember. Crazy old guy.
The old guy. Like he was like,
Yeah.
he looked like 75, 10 years ago. That guy.
Yeah. Yep.
Wiry. He was. I mean, that's the first time I came to America. I met him, and I always look for him every time. Yeah.
You meet him. Anybody knows Cliff Hatcher?
Yeah.
But he's an awesome guy, and I met him from going to my first convention. I don't remember which one it was, but it was in Orlando, and I said, hey, is there anybody here from Nashville? And they're like, oh, yeah, Cliff. And so I think that was my second year in business. We met, and we were like 10 minutes from each other. And he's semi-retired, but he's loved to get out there. He had one part-time helper. I mean, he's the healthiest old man I'd ever,
Hell yeah.
known.
Yeah.
But so I said, hey, you got about 30 days that you want to work. And honestly, at first I was just going to do like an hourly thing with him, and he fucking stuck it. Sorry. he stuck in there every single day, almost as long as I did. And so, it ended up just splitting everything.
Wow.
And then hired
what a legend.
Then, got some other part-timers. And
but at that point, like just as a point of reference, when you do that aggregate, you can get that wrong too, can't you? Aggregate. Like if you get the pressure wrong, you can start digging those pebbles up.
Pop the pebbles out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely.
So, did you already know how to avoid that, or for example, was Cliff like Mr. Wisdom? They don't do this and don't do that.
No, at that point, I knew. I'd been doing residential 3 years, and aggregate is everywhere here. It's just a weird little sector of the South where they decided they were trying to make fancy concrete.
That's what concrete should look like.
Yeah, they literally just lay concrete and then spray off the top cream layer. So, which is awesome. You can't screw it up as far as etching hardly.
No, but it's also much more difficult for the customer to even think they can do it themselves. Just flat concrete, you really think you can do it yourself. You just think it's easy, but aggregate, you don't get that feeling. Yeah. Okay, that's great. All right. So, did anything go wrong? Is there any don't do this in the Opryland?
Don't spill acrylic sealer on asphalt. This is like 30% solids, like thick acrylic, and we had it by the drums, and I had a drum laid over and a spout. We were filling like wheelbarrows full and like going in. And I forget. Oh, the cap. It came off, and then it just made this huge, hole. It just melted through the asphalt.
It melted the asphalt. Wow.
Yeah, it broke it down, and there was a noticeable huge circle where they just paved.
Oh, goodness me.
And then
Did they forgive you?
Oh yeah,
Good.
we were on really good terms. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
and I mean, I had the contract there until I sold my business in 18, 19. So, I mean, I stayed on and did regular work. I don't know what they
Yeah.
had going for, but that and, you know, the lazy river that they have through there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I called the boss lady one time and I was pumping the discharge water in there. And I was like, hey, she was like, no, don't. There's all these fish.
Oh,
There's like
God.
3,000, like, you know, the certain habitat that they've created.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't see a drain over it.
No
So,
way.
that was
Anyway,
funny.
but you caught it in time, right?
Yeah.
You didn't kill all the fish.
Maybe a few, I don't know.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. So that was the beginning of my commercial journey.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
where
What
I
a.
love
You just say,
going.
well, I do the Opry land, and everybody goes, okay, you can do mine.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, good fortune there.
Yeah.
But, you know,
And it's
from
funny that
there,
it was your web presence that actually gave you that, and your web presence was you not knowing how to have a web presence. So you're in there every day
well,
trying to work it out. And
at 3 years in, I'd got it pretty decent. It didn't look like a hack
yeah,
job.
yeah. Obviously, you looked professional enough for them to call you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right, next.
Well,
Look at your list of all the things not to do. Did you ever grow up with the Berenstain Bears books?
Yes, I don't remember any of them, but
No, I don't remember any of them. All I know is that it's a dad bear, and then he's got the little cub bear, and the cub bear says, "Hey, Dad, there's a high road and a low road. Which one will we take?" And Dad says, always take the low road. It's faster, or whatever. So they go along, and he gets, falls into a hole and has to fight off a crocodile and, does all these things. And then finally he gets there, he's all bandaged up and everything. He goes, "See, son, I went the low road to show you what not to do." Like that.
yeah.
Every book is like that, all the little simple lessons, what not to do. Dad teaches his kid the
A lot of good life lessons in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, talking of life lessons, the big thing overall arching is work-life balance, which, nobody ever gets it 100% right. You're always battling, but I just went all the way work. I was always single most of the time, and I was like, now that I had something to strive for, and I felt, better about myself, and like you're talking about education and all, I just wanted to go, and it eventually hurt me health wise, but
What do you reckon hurt your health? What part of it hurt your health? Was it the physical part, the exposure to chemicals? Like, have you thought through that and said, which part of it actually damaged me?
all of it.
But
So
do you think then, because it doesn't hurt everybody, not everything hurts everybody, right? But we all have a predisposition to die, right? And some people have got, I remember this lady, she went to a masseur in Sydney and he massaged her back and her neck, and something popped in her neck, right? And the bloody poured out everywhere, and she died on the massage table. And they were trying to work out whether it was malpractice from the masseur, and it ended up there's no blame. They just said she had a genetic weakness in a particular structure, that when her chromosomes were doubling and doubling and doubling and doubling had a weakness in this point, so we've all got a predisposition to a cancer or a predisposition to a arthritis or a predisposition, and other people don't.
Yeah. And so I actually developed a benign tumor on my lung slash chest cavity wall in 2012. So 2 years after that. And I was never good with a respirator. I mean, I was cleaning roofs and, in the South, humid. I was done. I would sit up there and, lay 30-40% bleach on asphalt shingles that are 100 and something degrees. And
just burning your lungs.
But like you say, yeah, you don't know, I guess, like you say, a predisposition, but they didn't know whether it was slow growing or fast growing. They found it just in the middle of 2012, like June or July, and it was really small, and or fairly small. And then they were like, "You should have it taken out now." I said, "Well, my work season kind of stops in December, so why don't I do it then?" They're like, "Well, you can. We don't know if it's slow growing, fast growing." I said, "Okay." Well, by the time December rolled around, they described it as a small loaf of bread as far as like lengthwise, and not necessarily thickness, but it was huge. Like even the
wow,
this is about one of the largest we've had to do. Yada yada.
Inside your lung.
In the chest cavity, it was attached to the part of the lung, part of the chest cavity, rib.
Yeah. So in the wall, but where pneumonia would be in that cavity there,
right?
Or pleurisy? Which one? Pleurisy. Pleurisy is in the wall, isn't it? Pneumonia is in the lung. Yeah.
So.
Wow. And could you feel it? Like, were you finding it hard to breathe or anything?
No. It didn't.
No signs.
Nope. Not one bit.
Wow.
It's so strange. They were like, sooner or later, you were gonna feel it. It would start pressing on you, and like, okay. And yeah, they took it out, and he was like, it's got its own like artery. It's like it had a little baby. It's like it had its own blood supply.
Wow.
And
I mean, that could have killed you then if you didn't find that, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I don't imagine if it's growing that fast. Yeah, but I mean, how long is it benign if it's growing that fast, or it just pops and fills you up with toxins or something? I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Never know.
Jesus.
So,
oops, I said it again.
Like you say, you never know, but I tell that every time I'm talking about safety and respirators.
Yeah.
Because you don't know.
I wanted, if you want to talk, I mean, because, I wanted to get into the respirator business because I look at the price that some guys sell them at, and I look at the price that I can buy them at. And because we've got a factory, so we can get custom filters, like for particular chemicals. But, most of the stuff we buy, when we go to buy the respirators, they've got, we've got a general filter, but that general filter is not for example, is not necessarily a chlorine filter. Obviously carbon will take out chlorine, but, but I felt that there was a market there because I think the markup is in the thousands of percent compared to the cost of goods, Anyway, but we'll have that, if you want to, we'll have that conversation later, because I'll send you, I've already bought one of what I think is the best one that I saw. Yeah. I went to a safety show before I left China, and I went to a safety show and I said, that is amazing. That would work, but you got to get the filter right. And I don't do anything if I don't know what I'm doing, so I backed off. I wrote to a couple of people. I don't think I sent it to anybody, but if you're interested in following that through, I would love to follow that through, because safety is so important to me, because I just see that the resellers, I just don't think the resellers, I'm going to say this really frankly, and I'm not sure that I can use it as a generalization, it's probably unfair, but they don't Well, they certainly don't care as much as I do. I know Mike Draper cares. He's built his business around it,
Oh
and
my
he
goodness.
was in the reseller business. So I've got to taper it, because obviously if he was a reseller, manager for Jay Racenstein, and then he became expert safety, then he obviously cared at that point. So I might be a bit unfair, but when water-fed pole safety was around, like it was just floppy poles, and nobody thought about any of the injuries, and carpal tunnel for window cleaners. Nobody's thinking about that, and rotator cuffs for guys using blades. Nobody thought about that. We've brought out a water-fed blade now, but anyway. So I'd love to talk to you about that if you think there's an opportunity there. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. I don't mean to hijack it, but I'm I was very passionate. I dug really deep into it, and then said I can't find anybody who who is interested enough in safety to be my guide.
Government, OSHA gets into it, and how those regulations get a little government.
I know, but what terrifies me about OSHA is it only applies to the employee, and I care about the guy who employs the employee. It's the boss that's going to say, we had one the other day, I think it was Ray or somebody like that, and he said I go out and do what the employees are not allowed to do. And I go, that's not okay.
Yeah,
that's not okay. So all these one business things, or all these owner operators are saying, okay, here's the higher risk, I'm not going to expose you, I'll expose myself. And then hang on, dude, you got wife and kids, you've got a you later, which is what you're experiencing now with your challenges, there's a you later that has to live with the damage that you've done,
Yeah, and if you can't operate, then your employees, they're out of work. So you're affecting many people's livelihood.
Yeah, and the quality of life, because now I'm older. It sounds like bullshit when somebody's young and listening to me, I'm sure of it. But I'm lucky. I'm old, strong, powerful, good thinking, But I look around. I had a friend of mine who I drink with here, and he died 2 days ago, and you go, and there are other people who are not strong, young, and you go, this is that's why what our chat is leading to is really important. You can end up really in a difficult position.
Well, since we're talking about safety, I'll tell you one other story.
Yeah, do that.
Of my eye, almost losing one of my eyes. I shot 50% bleach mixture in there at about 250 psi, point blank.
Oh,
from a booster pump.
What were you thinking? No, I'm not going to ask you that.
Well, I wasn't.
Great answer.
I was actually being safe up until that very moment. I had safety glasses on. I was wearing some type of headwear, but we were spraying this block building that was horrible. Like, I would never spray 50-50 bleach on much of anything. I mean, there's no reason to. You don't need to do it on roofs. And but this was bad. It was taking 2 coats plus touch up of 50-50. But I had a 6-foot lance, aluminum lance, attached to the gun, and the O-ring had gone bad in the end where the tip goes. So I had flipped it around, and my glasses were just so muddy and mucked up I couldn't see well enough to get in there and get the O-ring. Moved him back on my head, and my employee stepped back on the trigger while I was looking literally right there. Yeah.
No. I drank bleach once, and I know how terrifying it is. It's a terrifying moment where I had a bloody house cleaner, and in China they mix from the bleach powder, right? I don't know whatever they mix. They buy the big bags, because they don't cost a lot to clean your house or anything. She bloody got a sports drink bottle, the ones with the little bumhole valve. I don't know what they really are. They look like a sphincter. They work like a sphincter. So I don't know what they are. But the sports drinks where you have to squeeze them, right?
Yeah.
Brand new label. And I'd run a party the night before. So I'd asked her to come over and just help me clean up because we'd had kids painting. I think it was Harrison's birthday party. And we bought this great big canvas and loads of fluorescent paint. And everybody had to paint and squirt and hand print and everything on this, I don't know, it's like 6 foot by 6 foot piece of canvas, right? So there was paint everywhere. There was food everywhere. We had Greeks and we had all sorts of people coming from all over the world with all sorts of food. And so it was a mess. And we drank. And so I said, come over and just help me clean up the next morning, right? So she came and cleaned, and there were kids everywhere and everything like that. So she came over the next morning. Anyway, so at the kids' level, next to the jug, next to the toaster, after she's left and I come home again, there's a brand new clean bottle of sports drink right there, right? At 2.5 feet off the ground, like quite a low bench. And I thought, one of the parents has just left that there. It's brand new. It's full to the top. I threw it in the fridge, said, okay, I'll have that one day. Right. Anyway, one day I got I'm a bit too fat. And so I wanted to go for a little bit of a run. Thought, if I go for a run, I'm going to need a drink. I've got the sports drink in my fridge. So I grabbed the sports drink. I thought, well, if I'm going to be healthy, I should take a vitamin tablet. So I grabbed the vitamin tablet. I was still in my house, fortunately. Grabbed the vitamin tablet. Thought it's a big vitamin tablet. I need a big gulp of this stuff. Of the sports drink, put the tablet in, squeezed the bottle, swallowed it like you do for a vitamin
You didn't have a
tablet.
chance to realize what it was.
Got tingly lips, and I thought, it's sherbet. And then down, so I'm going, oh shit. And I've only just watched Game of Thrones, so I'm thinking of all these, people dying from poisoning in Game of Thrones or Viking. I go, no, it's Game of Thrones. Yeah, Game of Thrones. And I thought, oh my God, I've killed myself. So I rang Harrison and said, I'm in real trouble, right? You just tell Ollie's mum, don't ring me, I will only talk to you. I'm going to try and get to the hospital. And then the spit's coming out of I'm 6'6", and I'm walking, and my spit, I've drunk some water. I should have drunk milk. I had milk. I didn't know to drink milk. So I drank some water, but my spit is so gooey. It's all the way to the ground from 6 feet. And I'm like, ugh. And then I go down to the concierge and I go, get me an ambulance, I'm dying, whatever. And anyway, so I was in hospital for.
Could you taste the bleed?
Nah. No, I just the burn, but it didn't burn my mouth. Most of it had just gone down in my pipeline, And then I got to hospital, and then no, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what had happened. Then I rang the cleaner and said, "Is this?" I took a photo of it, sent to the cleaner. Is this something that's yours? And she says, "Yeah, don't drink it." I go, "Fuck, it's too late for that." Then I go to So I get to then I say, you got to tell me what's in it. But she's Chinese. She can't speak a word of English. So I'm going, what's in it? What's in it? I need to know what's in it. I drank it in the taxi on the way to the hospital. Doctor's going, what did you drink? I don't know. What's in it? I'm at the hospital. Harrison's come over, right? I'm giving him all the passwords to all the bank accounts and, password to his inheritance. So I could be out of here. Then they're checking their blood alkalinity, and they kept me in for 5 days observation. They said a lot can go wrong with your acid alkaline blood works, everything, And poor old Harrison had to sleep with me. You don't get nurse care in Asian hospitals. You family care, right? Because they put a bed beside you, and your family looks after you over the night. So they just said, wake up every 30 minutes and check he's still breathing, because my throat had closed off, right? And so the hole was much smaller for breathing. Oh, goodness me. That was a traumatic night for him. So, but that's not as bad as... Did they what?
Like, what did they just give you IV and fluids or like anything
Yeah.
special?
No, nothing. They said they would have stomach pumped me if I'd have drunk milk or nothing. But because I'd drunk water, they didn't want to stomach pump it. Yeah. So they said just write it out, and we'll monitor you. You know, maybe with the drip they were balancing the net effect, because it should go to salt, shouldn't it? Like in the end.
Should. I mean.
And then ever since then, I've been terrified. I could have taken. I mean, it's still true. Like, well, this is what we're talking about, Shaun. What you've done, what's happened to you, and the chemicals that you've been exposed to, could take 5 years off your life. It's the end of your life, So enjoy your life now, and don't worry about it too much. But you don't know the net effect of these exposures, of these events.
It's going to affect your health the years that you are living. All these things that we do to ourselves, or all the decisions we make, not just cutting it short. It's like you said earlier, the quality of life.
Yeah.
I mean, like my breathing, I don't feel like it's 100%. I mean, they say it is, but I passed the test.
You pass the range test, but not the optimal test. I think there's probably that's a new thing I've just learned from doing blood work over here. Is there's a range which is acceptable, but these doctors over here, they go, no, we want you at optimal, right? Range is not what you want. You want to be optimal. Yeah. Okay, so you shot bleach at 50 psi straight into your eye at a moment that you're checking an O-ring, and how unlikely is it that an employee would stand on and activate the trigger at that time?
At that moment.
Very moment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just bizarre. It just shows you what safety is. I shouldn't dominate because I'm interviewing you, but so forgive me. But I say, risk is chance. Everybody thinks risk is chance, right? That's the natural understanding of risk, the chance of this happening, but it's not. The risk is the chance times the consequence. So it doesn't matter. Like, for example, if the consequence is death, it doesn't matter if the chance is 0.0000001%. The consequence is death, therefore the risk is death.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah. Very good point.
Yeah. Because people say, I never fell off a ladder. I've been climbing ladders for 10 years. Dude, doesn't matter how many times, doesn't matter what there is always a chance. And the consequence of that chance is death. Therefore, your risk is death.
Yep.
So don't treat ladders lightly, ever. For example, that's waterfall pole talk. But okay, so what did you do? How I know that? So I segued to myself only because I know the level of shock and what went through your mind at that point.
One, it needs to be rinsed out. I didn't think about the pressure of it. I mean, I knew roughly what the booster pump was putting out and all that kind of stuff, but I was more worried just because in our brains we always think about bleach and how it's going to affect you and whatnot. And, I especially. So I went over to the truck. I did not have the OSHA kit with the saline solution, but I did have a dump valve on my water tank, even though it's not clean water, but at that point, you just want to flush it all out. I don't care what else goes in there. Anything that's bleach.
No way. Yeah, let's dilute that stuff. I flushed
it for about 30, 40 minutes as I waited.
Are you holding a hose, or did you lie underneath it and just let it fall on your face?
I just lay on it. I was like waterboarding myself.
That's exactly the mental picture I got. Like, that's what I thought. Just fucking lie there and just go, give it to me, baby. Just give it to me. Save my eye.
I mean, you can't. You're just naturally. You can't just lay there the whole time. It's like do this, go over, and then back and forth. And so let's see. My girlfriend at the time, which
yes.
I got home. I don't remember if she came and got me. I think she came and got me. And then, but I got home and looked in the mirror, and my pupil was like coming out of my head. Like I was looking in the mirror and I was like, I don't know, should I go to the hospital? And she's like, yes. Um, so she drove me straight to the emergency room. So I probably drove.
You're like one goldfish eye, right?
Yeah.
And that, what is that? Because there was fluid behind it, was just still in there?
I don't know. I guess from the pressure, just swollen. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't look into the details, but
no. Did they hold you in? Were you?
Oh yeah. Well, so what they do if that happens to you, they have something that looks like a contact lens, and they have a little hose attached to it. And the emergency room was packed up. I guess all the little rooms were full, and so they stuck me in the hallway in this, bed, and they put this in, and they just leave a saline drip, and so it's just flushing my eye, and just everything just runs down me. So I just sat in the hallway for like 45 minutes, soaking wet. But they checked the pH. That's what the flushing, obviously.
Right.
For I think it started out like 9.5, and then they got it down. Of course, they want it to be around neutral, 7.5.
Yeah, 7. Yeah.
So they got it down to that and quit soaking me. But then I had to stay in the house for 30 days with no light. I had to have all the windows covered up. I could not look at light. Like,
wow. And you couldn't wear a pirate's patch or anything?
Well, I had to do that just to go to the doctor's appointments. And,
right.
Luckily I had her to drive me, so covered this eye up, and it just barely tried to peek out to walk. Yeah.
Goodness me.
And they said.
And then how did the eye recover?
It was always a weak eye, just growing up. So it's really hard to tell. I've looked at LASIK surgery since then twice, but they say they can't fix it, either of my eyes. So my vision kind of sucks, but
yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Whew. That is just so unfortunate. But the sobering part of it is just that realization of one split second of I'll be okay is not. I was talking the other day about being an operation, running a business and being the boss of the business, right? Being an operator and a boss at the same time, right? The operations guy goes to the boss and says, what do you reckon? You reckon I can do this? And the boss goes, hell yeah, you're a good operations guy. So, if it was the employee said, should I do this? You would have, if he was the one checking the O-ring, you would have said, let me turn off the pressure washer first, the booster pump first, and then you can have a look at it. But when you're the operations guy and the boss goes, no problem, dude. This shit doesn't happen to you, Yeah. Isn't it?
Anybody, like you say, in a split second. I was being safe up to that very moment with my glasses, everything, goggles. So yeah, good thing to think about. If you're thinking about taking a shortcut, it's not worth it. Spend the extra time to do it right and safe.
It's kind of like expect. I run very much my whole life with expect the unexpected. I don't worry about anything. I just have a plan for everything, and everything that I've thought of, all the things that could go wrong. But that keeps your cognition running and saying, what I mean, we scuba dive. I mean, scuba dive's very much like that. You're always thinking, you're never worrying, but you've always got, if this happens, I'm going to do this. If that happens, I'm going to do this. If this happens, I'm going to do this. So exactly what you're going to do. But in this case, if your O-ring goes on at the end of your lance, I'm going to turn my booster pump off and drain the pressure, and then I'm going to check it. Isn't it?
Yeah. But Heck, with walking all the way to the truck, that takes too much time.
That's how we think. That's bizarre. Okay, next. Goodness me, I've got goosebumps already. Yeah.
I think that's most of the important health stuff.
So are you okay, Shaun, to share like what you're experiencing now? Like,
yeah.
yeah.
So in 2017 or 18, went from owning a wash business to owning a wash business and starting a supply store. And thinking, which I think everybody does, because it seems like every other washer these days, wants to open up a supply place and sell things, is, get out of the physical work, so much and not as many employees.
Yep.
All that's good. But I was funding that store and still wanted to keep the same lifestyle. So I kept the wash business. At that time, I didn't have to be working in it. I got it to commercial accounts that, I trusted my employees with. So I just lost my train of thought. I just picked that up.
Yeah, we do that.
AD.
So you had you opened your supply store. You thought you could run both. You kept the pressure washing business.
Yeah, and that's when. So I was working 18 hours a day.
Just go, right?
Go building rigs in the middle of the night at the store. Just trying to do everything because the way the store was set up, you couldn't afford to hire anybody besides your mechanic. So that's another story. But I basically ended up with fibromyalgia. I got to where I couldn't be on my feet more than like 4 hours a day. They would just start burning, aching. If you look up fibromyalgia, I had most of the symptoms. Some of them I still have. It affects your cognition. They call it word find. I'll be talking about something in just the simplest word, I can't think of. And it's, they say they don't know what causes fibromyalgia, but in the end, it's too much stress on your body, mentally and physically. I think almost getting to like a nervous breakdown, type of point in your life.
Yeah. But expressed in a different way.
Like a mental nervous breakdown plus your physical body breaking down.
Oh,
so
goodness me.
It comes together and your body's like, the hell with this, I'm done. You're trying to kill me.
Wow. Yeah, because it's pain in all the muscles, pain in the joints, fatigue, massive fatigue, foggy brain. I looked it up, when you said that's what you had,
Yeah.
And was it rapid onset or was it just coming on, because if you got we call it glandular fever, you call it mononucleosis. Yeah. If you got mononucleosis, it's pretty much like that as well. I felt, and I had that when I was younger,
I'd say gradual. And then at different points, it seems like all at once it would get worse. So basically, I realized I had to sell both businesses. I was at the point where.
Wow. Okay. So you're going, this is it. I can't do anything.
Right.
Who bought your pressure washing business? How did you sell that? Did you sell it to a peer or?
Yes. The same people I sold the store to.
Oh, goodness me. They bought everything. Well, that was kind of handy in that way.
It was in two different transactions and thought processes. So I didn't do it simultaneously, but that was
in the end. In the end, they saw that you had it together. on both of them.
Yeah. Um,
Oh my! So then you're and how long are the symptoms were extreme for? How many months or years or whatever like that?
um, let's see. So once I sold those both, um, I let's see. I was out of work for about 4 months, and then I went and worked for, and it got better when a little bit better. I still had stress of trying to sell everything and the finances and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
So it got a little bit better because I wasn't doing the physical. But then I was fortunate enough. My CPA knew a guy. I guess I could say now the founder of Dollar General lives in the area, not in my neighborhood.
Right.
But
yeah, but in the area. Yeah.
the other side of town. The other side of town.
Yeah. So where we work, not where we live.
Yeah, exactly. And he was hiring for a property manager / personal assistant / everything under the sun, apparently. And
Wow.
and I ended up getting that job. I'd already planned on selling my house, so that brings a point. I want to backtrack about like finances and everything through the business. And I know you've talked about it. I think you and Ray were talking about it, like having debt and buying all this. I bought too much shiny stuff. I was able to afford it while I was working in my house and all that.
Yeah.
But you have all those payments, and that one thing happens in your life, and your income is either cut down, cut in half, or just completely cut. Then all those payments. I mean, that's what sends you in a whirlwind, as you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. We
you
also
have-
if you get a chance to listen to Dan Platter with me last night, he also explained this. He called it he calls it an inventory, but it's basically all of your fixed overheads, your rents, your payments on your trucks, your all this sort of things. He said all of these just don't go away. Like once you commit to them, they're there for the term.
Yeah.
And whatever happens to your income, they remain the same. So if your income goes down as a percentage of your income, they go up.
Yeah.
They don't stay
Yeah.
the same as a percentage of your income. They same money, but different percentage. Yeah. So all of a sudden they became more than your income because your income went to zero. Right.
Right.
So now
Exactly.
you're in drain mode, aren't you? You
Right.
know?
And I knew that I just couldn't afford to stay in the house that I was in, which it's funny because what would you call it? Like, the book, like The Secret,
Yep.
where it talks about,
The
what's the
universe
word?
delivers to you, do the right
Yeah.
thing and then but still be intentional about what you want and
Right. Being intentional. So the house that I moved into was in an eighth of a mile stretch that I had already said this is the perfect place where I want to live for so many reasons. I specifically said for whatever reason I want to get my business to $500,000. I said I want, when I'm successful, to get a new F-250, and I just had all these things, and I literally achieved every single one of them because I was asking for all the wrong things. You should be asking for just I don't even know right now, but you shouldn't be asking for these individual things. You should be worried about your life and giving back to others and just the quality of life, family,
love, happiness. It's bizarre to talk about it. We're dudes. We don't talk about this shit, but
yeah.
But I'll tell you what, take those away from you and you realize, like we're dudes. We don't talk about this shit. But
right.
we do know about it very hard in a very traumatic way when they're not there.
Uh-huh.
You know, isn't it?
Yeah.
Once
So many guys end up, using these things as, how they're identified, like um, their identity. I don't know.
Did you there's a saying in one of the courses I did, which is called the need to be seen to look good. Were you influenced by that? Where you wanted to show, like, let me just qualify that, because you said that you set these goals for them, so you actually did them for yourself. But were you also influenced with how others were making themselves be seen, and you wanted to be seen in a particular way as well?
No, I mean, I really don't think so. I mean, we probably all have a little, vanity here and there mixed, but
if it's not your gig, it's not your gig. You were doing it for you. That's it. That's what you wanted.
Yeah, that was like my idea in my head of success, is what it was.
Right.
And even saying, oh, I want to, in the infancy of not knowing business, I want a $500,000 business. Well, that doesn't mean shit. You know, you could, you don't know what your profit is on that.
You want profit. You just want profit.
You kind of get to that intentional thing, like, be more specific, but for the right things.
Yeah, and it's so hard because dudes, like, we don't do emotion. We provide, we hunt, we kill, we feed, like, I'm talking the stereotypical sense, and I know America's going through a troubling time right now about what is a male, but I'm not confused. And we don't naturally express the other side. But like Dan Platter yesterday, he said that when his wife gave birth to their first baby, he changed jobs. I changed jobs. I had 3 babies with Harrison's mum, and I changed jobs each time and realized afterwards that I was traumatized by each delivery, and how am I going to provide for this? I need more money. I got to go and get myself a new job. But it's not the best time. It's just not the best time to change jobs. But I remember that, and he did that too. And it brought back the memory to me. And you go, we don't talk about that stuff, and we don't relate to it. But take it away, get separated, get divorced, lose a partner, lose a parent, and you start to identify how important these things are to us.
I remember Dave Ramsey saying, it either 6 months or a year. I mean, it's a good rule of thumb, surely at least 6 months after anything traumatic like that happens in your life, don't make any financial decisions. Just don't. Your body, your mind, chemicals are all out of balance.
Yeah.
You can't trust the thing that's going through your head.
You cannot, but we do. That's the funny thing, and of course, as you get older, you're 45, I'm 62 now. So you get more chance to look backwards if you've remembered your life. Not everybody remembers their life very well, but I've remembered a lot. I've intentionally remembered a lot of my life, and I think that's what makes me a better dad, than I would have been if I didn't remember, because I remember what it's like to be young, and I remember what it's, you know what I mean? I remember what it's like to be a parent of Harrison's, which then I look at how I parented Harrison and my 2 girls, Brie and Chloe, and then I look at how I'm parenting Ollie. I'm remembering and applying, like that. So, but for the younger guys, it's not so easy because they haven't been there yet, Yeah. So
there could be a whole book of what not to do.
Oh, yes, and how to. The thing is to get the takeaway right, because when Kurt was on with me, he said, the wisdom is learning from other people's mistakes. And I talked to Harrison about that at length. And I said, I don't really think it's true that you can learn from anybody else's mistakes. But what happens is that when somebody shares with you their mistakes, if you respect that person, you're going to put that data into a what to do when this happens box, and then or what to do when this looks like it might happen box. So that's you haven't learned anything. You haven't learned shit. right? What you've got is a piece of data that if you're smart, you've put it somewhere in a box that can be recalled in the event of this trigger, that trigger, that trigger, you know?
Yeah.
So then when that moment comes along in your life, God forbid that you are faced with the same challenge that your mentor was sharing their story, or in this case your story, you know, with the tip, or your story with your chemical exposure in the lungs, you know,
Yeah.
then somebody goes, oh, hang on, I need to turn the booster pump off and get rid of the pressure.
Right.
Or, oh, hang on, you know what I mean? That's They can avoid a mistake, or he does exactly what you do and go, oh, that's what Shaun meant.
Right.
Now he's
That
learned
was a close
double.
call. Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
close call. That could have been a lot worse. But
You could have really been, you could have blown your eye out, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
Certainly lost your vision on one side.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody.
Traumatized how many people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Shaun's, you know, you're going off to the hospital with your girlfriend and your eyeball is hanging on your cheek. No.
Apparently, it was close to that. I think with all the learning experiences, I was talking to someone the other day about employees, and something I wasn't good at in the beginning, and think um, probably always trying to get better at, is when teaching employees what to do or telling them what to do, give the reason behind it. Don't just say, hey, do this. You know, especially if you've got a story, you're like, okay, well, if you do it the other way, this is what's going to happen. Like, because you tell an employee, somebody to do something, they're going to be like, I can do it better than that, right? You know, I'll figure out a better way. But if you, you know, so you got to give context with everything and show the reasoning.
It's the same. Look, I would just say it's exactly the same as raising children, you know. If you can give them the choice, you can do this and you can do that. But if you do this, this is what's going to happen. If you do that, this is what could happen. And it's your call. Like, I got your back. I love you to bits, you know, but I don't want to see you in bits, you know. Like, yeah. So, but you know, it's not my life. That's what I say to Ollie. Like, it's not, dude, not my life. This is your life. You know, I can tell you what I think, but it's just you're 12. You know, you could be a soldier right now if you're in the wrong country in the world. You know.
Mm-hmm. I guess a few times of them doing the wrong thing after you told them that, then they might get some respect and actually listen to you. Like, well, that's exactly what he said would happen. So maybe I'll start listening.
And that's how we treat our employees, we hope. Yeah. So what are you doing now, Shaun? Like, what are you doing for a quid?
So I was at that farm property with the Dollar General guy. That was for a year. And then my fibromyalgia, I was doing pretty good. I still had like the mental fog, like this, not being able to find the right words in the moment. That kind of stuff. But I was doing well. But then I got to being on my feet again, the physical part. I just couldn't be on my feet 8 hours a day. So quit, left, set for 9 months, trying to think, what the heck am I going to do? Like, all I know is pressure washing. And I was pretty much burnt out. Like, I had a bad taste in my mouth, you know, just because of, you know, I was thinking of the end experience. I'm like, this is where I ended up. Like, that's the last thing I want to do.
Yep.
But then I decided, what the heck? Let's go to a convention in January. One of the ones in Florida, in February. And I went and I saw Leilani Chostner there and was telling my story. And then, I was telling her, I was like, I think I want to do training. But I always want to be unique. Like, I know, you know, I'm a full believer, have a niche, you know, do things that other people aren't doing. And I always thought traveling and doing training would be awesome if someone could. because there's, not everybody can afford or even knows about conventions. If you go into the small areas,
Yes, definitely.
There's a big need for it. So when I was telling her, she said, "Oh, well, Craig, owner of F9, he's always wanted to go around and do training of, inorganic stain cleaning." And that's when the cleaning classroom was born.
Wow.
So in the beginning, it was me fitting a need. Like, one, I didn't want to move back home because I'd already sold my house. I was at, the farm. I was like, well, I need somewhere to live. I need a job. So
yeah. Give me a
I
bus.
got some cash left over. So let's buy an RV and travel the world or the country.
Wow.
And it worked out really well. I mean, I always have loved F9 Frontline Restoration, the products.
Yep.
I mean, his cookbook, I think, is the most genius thing in the industry. I mean, why wouldn't there should be more like that? Like, I mean, you still need hands-on training, but literally,
Yeah, but we need to go back to the basics. And again, the simple thing, like if you look at safety, on-site safety, Shaun, I don't know whether America's there yet, but in Australia, if you do on-site safety in Australia, every time you go to a corporate site, you have to go through your safety, your risk assessment, and you have to write it out by hand. You can't fill in a form or copy and paste or take a photocopy. You've got to write it out by hand. What's your risk assessment? What's the things that could go wrong on the site for the work that you're going to do today? And then you have to sign it, and then you have to put it in a locking box, a lockable box.
Oh, yeah.
And the property manager can come and get it in the event that anything went wrong. And the supervisor, if the risk is death, according to the possible outcome, what's the worst possible outcome? If the risk is death, then there has to be more paperwork from your on-site manager. Yeah. And so, and what am I saying? I'm saying that sometimes actually safety is about having top of mind awareness every day. So the cookbook is part of that. It's a Bible. It's not a bad read every day if you're dealing with those chemicals every day, to remind yourself of the risks every day. Isn't it?
Doesn't just say in the very beginning, wear a respirator. Like, it's throughout. You get specific directions every single time, which is what we all need. We need a daily reminder.
Yep. It's really true. It's really true.
That's one reason they required on, government, job sites, things of that nature. You have to have a safety meeting every morning. You have to go over things. I did work at a nuclear power plant, but it was shut down. But it was still cool. But
that is cool.
So we had to go through their safety protocols, which is worse.
Well, a shut down nuclear facility is not a dead nuclear facility, is it? It's
not a what?
I don't think it's a dead nuclear facility. I think they still got. Haven't they always got some nuclear material in them, and they just keep cooling them, or do they remove all that as well?
No, I think everything's removed. I mean, we didn't have to. Of course, we weren't inside the cooling tower or any of that.
Right.
We were doing all exterior, but we still had to wear. We had to wear safety helmets with a shield and glasses underneath, and long sleeve and gloves and long everything. I mean, it was just over the top and 100 degrees outside. It was ridiculous.
Ouch. Yeah.
But they were strict. We had to go through like 2 days of training and then have to do a written test. And one of my employees, actually probably my best employee, was pretty illiterate, and so he couldn't even take the test. They had to make an exception. Like, we were in Alabama. I was like a state away. I was like, he knows what to do. He knows the answers. So they took him and finally had this meeting. Like, okay. So they went and talked to him, and he told him everything. But yeah.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
So the cleaning classroom got on the road.
got on the road, did it for a year. It was awesome. I mean, thanks to Craig, I mean, that was the perfect thing that I would want to teach. It's unique. It needs more education. It's not like, hey, here's how to go wash a house.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, when you're using, chemicals, one, don't use like straight up hydrochloric acid and, teach people about safety is half of it. And then, how to. But did it for a year. And then towards the end, my back and my neck, I just started getting a lot more pain. And I decided, I was like, I just can't do this. It's going to worsen. Like I had a bulging disc in my neck. And then I found out the surgery was like going through the front of your
oh God,
throat.
no.
And actually, Lonnie's mom had that done. And
Yeah.
it was at a similar time. They're like, yeah, you go in, you move the esophagus over. They go in. I'm like, oh, no. No.
Just surprise me and wake me up and tell me you've done it, but don't ask me to sign anything to say you can do it.
Yeah, and then how many months of recovery? So, I just realized it wasn't the right thing to continue. And of course, Craig, F9's his business, so he's like, I'm gonna keep doing it. I was like,
yeah,
go for it. It's all you, buddy.
Wow.
So,
and who's driving the bus these days?
He sold that, and now he's got like a camper that goes in the back of a pickup truck. But I mean, not a camper, and it's like a house that goes in the back of his 450.
And he goes around on his own.
Yeah,
he does it
he
himself.
Living in little. I mean, he's in like 100 square feet. 400 square feet was small enough for me. He loves it, and he enjoys the teaching and being out there.
Yeah, so smart for a CEO. The CEO at the front of the business is such a smart move. It's not what corporate says, but we're not corporate. We're small business, and the business is born from the passion, and the passion that never leaves you. Like for me, Waterford Poles, it's not we're not a pole business anymore. We're a brush business, but we're not. You just can't take it out of me. It's so much of my life is perfecting such a small aspect of an industry, but a massive effect, Yeah. So, that's fascinating. So, and by the way, I wanted to ask you, I don't know if you saw our podcast with Louis and Rebecca. They're from just not far from you, from Nashville. They're about an hour out.
No, I've been off of Facebook for I don't know how long, year or two.
Right.
I didn't even know of your podcast here.
We haven't pushed it yet. I wanted to get 50 under my belt, with Ben, so that when we pushed it, if somebody liked it, they would go back and there's a library. Because I know when I got to Joe Rogan, I just wanted to consume it, and I didn't want to, let people know about Service Six Sigma, and then there's one interview, and you know what I mean, because we've had like most of the industry leaders, and a few more I'm going to approach now. Now that I'm back from my diving, and so we haven't really advertised a lot. But Louis is near you. Louis and Rebecca, wonderful people who you'd love to know. I think. Do you know him?
I know him well.
Yeah. Oh, great. Because he was also off the tools, life-threatening condition, 9 children, and he went to carnivore diet. And they've got land, so they actually grow all their own beasts and eat them. Rebecca, he said Rebecca's out killing 3 goats one day to me. Jeez. No way.
Yeah, I have to watch that. That just sounds strange because I think of like red meat as inflammatory, and I feel like so much of what I have is, I feel like it's inflammatory, but I mean it's really, I think, just like overactive parasympathetic nervous system. Like everything's just on hyper.
Yeah. Yeah.
why it takes like getting away from the physical and the mental, so it all can calm down.
Yeah.
Balance
I
back
think
out.
it's definitely worth if you, and the other person to follow is Jordan Peterson, and his daughter was bedridden for years with
Really?
with autoimmune stuff,
I didn't know that.
going on. Yeah.
Jordan Peterson.
And Jordan Peterson and his daughter, Michaela, and his wife, they're just genetically, this is when I talk about that genetics, they're genetically disadvantaged, massive risk. And then you look at them and they also went to meat only. They tried meat and everything. Joe Rogan's meat and fruit, but he's not religious about it. He still has pasta, occasionally, but Louis lost 130 pounds and now he's back on the tools and everything. But Rebecca was running his business for him. He was shocked, bro.
I remember I knew him. That's probably the last time that we had spoke, when he was getting off the tools and just had a lot of stuff going on as well.
He was shocked. And now he's looking amazing and he's singing songs, and he even wrote a song to his children,
Oh yeah.
like, because he's a muso, but he wrote a song to his children. He's got 9 kids, and imagine being a dad who's saying, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it through this. I'm going to write a song to my kids about what they mean to me.
Oh, that kind of song. Wow.
Woo. God, if you stay right to the end of the podcast with Louis and Rebecca, you'll hear the song. He plays it, or Ben plays it, so it's good.
Cool.
Good sound.
Yeah, I was making notes of all that.
Yeah, and the other one, I watched a Joe Rogan one on meat eating, and they said that the bioavailability of what is in meat is the only thing that you can only eat, and all the things that you need are in it. But they said the bioavailability is at when it's cooked medium, that it's not bloody, not rare, so it's actually, medium. No, not.
Yeah.
The pink is I imagine the pink is okay, but not red. So I thought that was also interesting, because you imagine it, you've got to digest it and get stuff out of it. Well, if it's cooked, it's broken down, it structures and all that. Yeah, so your body is not having to do so much to get out of it what you want or something like that. But for you, everything's worth a go, right? Because I'm still eating pad thai and rice, and I don't eat meat only myself, but I know I have been meat only sometimes in my life, but with Ollie it's easier to eat what Ollie eats, so, and I'm not struggling, with anything particularly, so
I will. That's awesome.
I mean, everything's worth a go, right? Because you just want to, say, what can I do, and
I've become a health nut just by researching everything under the sun.
Right.
I was diagnosed. I went to Mayo Clinic for 11 days and had every test known to man, done. Then, like, oh, yeah, fibromyalgia. Just take it easy. Make your life less stressful. It's pretty much like, I'd rather a diagnosis of something I can do.
That's pathetic. But so Harrison got me into this clinic over here, right? What's it called? Life, but LYFE, right? And for 14,000, was it 14,000 baht? We both got the blood test, right, on all the male, biological male, all the biological male markers, right, and the cancer, the cancer markers that are typical for males, like prostate and stuff like that. And so this is where I got this thing about this optimal, right? So then he comes back and goes, okay, your testosterone's, maybe mine is 400. He said, at your age, it could be 600, so then he can put me on TRT for 3 months or whatever, testosterone replacement or support. I don't know what it is. Anyway, but I get an injection I got an injection every second week, for that. And then he gives me an estrogen progesterone blocker because he said I'm 10% body fat over what I should be ideally, which is the ideal. Again, everything is optimal, right? So I'm not particularly fat, but I got a little bit of podge. So So then he says, okay, if you've got that fat on you, the testosterone we give you, your fat will turn that into estrogen, right? So we need to put an estrogen blocker for you to experience the testosterone. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Then my last blood test, he said your white blood count is up, red is down, lymphocytes are up. They're still within range, but he said not optimal.
Yeah.
So something's happening. You have some long infection in your body somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So then he puts me on the vitamin C drip and stuff like that. But this is a guy, but the reason I wanted to share it with you, Shaun, is because it's so cheap. When I go and see him, it's 2,000 baht divided by 35 is $60.
Yeah.
No insurance, no nothing. It's $60, and the guy reads all of my bloods. The bloods is let's say $10,300 for all 4 pages of blood results. $300. So
how much is the ticket over there?
But yeah, a ticket over here is I'll bet you it's like $700 return, $800 return, something.
Yeah.
And you could come over for a month or 2 months or 3 months and chill, nice weather, do a scuba course.
Just be a beach bum.
Well, we can still work. We can still work. We can talk business, bro, if you come over.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you're still on that journey and if you want to come over, like come over. All right. Stay somewhere near me. You can, a week or two at my place is okay, before I get sick of you.
I'm quiet. You wouldn't even know.
That's it.
But I'm about to figure out how much I can do, because I'm going to go back into washing, but just like 3 part-time days a week, probably like 3 residential jobs, house and driveway mixtures, things like that. I miss it. I miss the money.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I've been working for a friend of mine that owns a sign shop in Nashville that's like 30-something years old. They did the wrap on the bus and all my vehicles, and so I'm doing sales with them, but it's commission, it's this, like, I don't have a passion for it. And I realized I can still have a passion for washing if I do things, slower and more, intentionally. Not do things like before, like more or less start over and do things the right way.
Yes, and manage your levels.
Before and after, this and no or whatever. But I don't think I can do more than that physically per week right now.
Wow.
But I can't sit behind a computer all day either. I mean, that's just as bad.
No, that's just as bad. It just drives you mental. Hey, it must be, so what do you do with your time? Like, because you're like me, I was seriously, when I was building Reach-It, I was seriously 18 hours on call. I might go to the pub with the boys, but I'm on call. I might never talk to my mates. I might be on live chat the whole night, but I'm still around my mates, But I was 18 hours a day, 7 days a week on call. I said to Phoebe, you bring up Ollie, whatever, I'll come up on every second weekend and we'll spend some time with him. But when he's 10 or 11, you give him to me and I'll do the rest, right? But mum can raise a boy, but dad can raise the man, otherwise he's going to grow up to be a man like mum, and that doesn't work for me,
Right.
So, and that's what we've done. I mean, all power to her. We never lived together. We've been mum and dad together. We sleep in the same bed together, everything, when we go on holidays, and she comes over here and spends time. We're a really great family. And, but all power to her to let him go and come and be with dad. And, she loves she loves how I'm raising him. She loves the opportunity he's got, she's
just amazing.
In awe of it. But, I don't know why I was telling you that, but
Well, I mean, that's what I did, the entire time being in business. And
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was saying. So what are
what-
you doing with your time now? Like, if you can only work like 3 half days,
Well,
what do you do with the rest of your time?
before I forget it, let me go off of what you just said because it reminded me of
Oh
something
yeah. Go.
uh, about the work-life balance. So when I was working at the farm, I normally I would be done by 5 o'clock each day. But it was a beautiful property, like 700 acres. I mean, I didn't even want to be inside, but I was, and there was always just a list of things to do. But so many of them were just minuscule. Like I could walk over here and do this or change the sprinkler stuff. That's not physical that I was thinking. I was like, but I still want to be outside and moving. So I was doing that, and then I realized after I left there that even though that was not physically tasking, like I never gave my mind a break. Like I was still thinking about
Right.
that stuff,
Right.
and that was the problem through the whole business is if we have time, if we set time aside to like somehow, you know, you can get into meditation, all this stuff. Most pressure washers probably aren't going to do any of that.
No.
But like, but if I'd taken time and made myself, shut down for an hour, even if it's watching TV, mindlessly, you know, I wouldn't have made. I know I wouldn't have made so many of the bad decisions because
Hmm.
it was just the rat race, just go go go, and
Yeah.
not taking time to sit and think about the options when making a decision. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this sounds good, it's quick, it's easy, I'll just buy a new truck because then I won't have headaches of you can rationalize anything if you
Yes.
don't sit and really think it through.
Yep.
And I think that's a really big thing as far as when we're in business working for ourselves. Just it's kind of like a work-life balance, but it's also your mind needing.
Yeah, give yourself make sure you've got a bit of space. Not that I can really claim that I've done that so much, but I'll ask you this question: how well in your life path, right, through all of these things, how well have you slept? Did you used to sleep well, or you didn't sleep well, or you do sleep well now? Because maybe the quality of
Sleep.
sleep is an indicator. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm no doctor.
yeah, I'm huge on that. I mean, that's 100%. Um, so I slept good. I always slept through the night, um, and I didn't drink much during all of that. I might have one or two margaritas like for
Yep.
dinner, and like then go pass out. Um, and but the hours were just short, and then sometimes, or probably half the time, getting into energy drinks, all the unhealthy stuff.
Yes. See, I think that can have something to do with it because and especially
Absolutely.
if you get
I
into the
mean,
sugar-free stuff, like the sugar-free, thinking you're doing it right, you're not getting any
yeah,
carbs, right? So you're not got any energy. I don't know. I
right.
don't think so. Somebody might correct me, but if you got no sugar in it, then you've got no calories in the drink. So you're drinking it for what? And then
Just pure
it's
caffeine.
it's 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 mind altering. You know, it's mind altering. I
And
mean, not that I can do. I drink one of
then,
these each morning. This is these little Thai ones. I don't know if you know, but Red Bull is actually originally from Thailand, the original formula,
oh, really?
right? And this is a copy of the Red Bull, but this is tiny little bottle, you know, and they're
Well,
like
5 hour energies are even smaller, but they're still not good.
but these are like 30 cents, you know, but
Yeah,
you know, I'll have one of them if I want to sharpen myself up a bit, but that's but short of
yeah,
that, I don't drink them through the day or anything. I only do them, you know, if I've woken up, but
yeah.
not as
I
sharp
mean,
as I want to be for this.
during the pressure washing life, I mean, it was washed during the day, and then wash at night. Had jobs to
Yeah.
gas stations,
Gas
and
stations.
the guy that worked with me, I mean, to both of our faults, he would go right along with me. He had the same drive as an owner would. He's like, yeah, let's go, go. Like he didn't. That's all he wanted to do. He just
I
wanted to
love
go
it.
make money.
I love
And,
it.
yeah, that was detrimental to both of us. But
So sleep was not an indicator that you were in trouble. Yeah.
correct. I mean, looking
Yeah.
back now, like I know now I need 8 hours of sleep, and I guess
Yeah.
that's dependent on the person too. Some people say, and you're probably one of them, you feel better
Yeah.
with 6 hours.
I feel 100% with 5 hours or 6 hours. And like I'll go to bed with Ollie because I just do. I don't know it's right or wrong, but I just do. So he'll go to bed at 9:30 or 10. So I go to bed at 10, then I wake up at 4 normally. Or if I wake up at 2, I might stay awake till 3, and then I'll wake up at 5, like that.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, I know. I'm really blessed. But I feel more blessed talking to you. I just do because I just look at it and I go, whew, there's a long way from 45 to 62 as well. Like you got 17 years to get to where I am. You've still got a lot of managing to do, and you've really got to crack some formulas. And no regrets because regrets not going to change anything. No worry because worry doesn't change anything. Plan.
No.
Which is what you're doing. I love what you're saying. Please come to Thailand if you want to take a break. Because the weather's fine all year round, and I'm not bad company. Like
No, not at all. And that's one thing. That's the thing with fibromyalgia is extreme heat and extreme cold exacerbate any situations.
what?
So, yeah.
Well, you got to come in the rainy season. I think now it's 70 to 75 degrees for the next 3 months, something like that.
Oh,
all day, every day.
The pressure
Huh?
drops and things like that, like arthritis. When
Yeah,
the front
yeah.
same thing.
Yeah,
So,
wow.
being up north during the training sucked. But then also
bet.
in Florida with 100 degrees and 100% humidity,
Yeah,
also sucks.
yeah, sucks. Well, that sucks
So-
for everybody. That one does.
So Thailand it is.
Yeah. Hey, I really anyway, I'm just going to say this in your tone that I feel a little bit of remorse, like a little bit of regret or something like that that you worked so hard and took something out of you took something out of the 45-year-old you when you were in your 20s and 30s, yeah.
Right.
And and I love that you're doing everything you can to work out how to recover you to the best you can be. I mean, you really,
Right.
if you've been to Mayo and got every test there is, I got nothing to say.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre that they came back with a one sentence.
Yeah.
Said, you got this, take it easy. That's it.
That's why I think that, part of our journey on Earth was we should tell these stories to other people, and
Yeah.
why can't it benefit others? I mean, we should all pass on anything we can to.
It's funny you say that because I nearly said that the other night. I was talking about some traumatic things that happened to me and somebody else. I can't remember who it was, but I thought, the real reason, the sanity that we have from the trauma that we experience should be that why when I go, why me, God, in inverted commas, the answer should be so that you can help someone else.
Right.
Your story is needed for someone else. Your struggling is, also gonna, help somebody else in their struggle or to avoid the struggle. And hopefully not just one for one, right? It should be.
Yeah.
May we affect 1,000 people with our conversation.
Exactly. Yeah. So
yeah.
For that reason, I'm thankful that to be on here and hopefully enough people will watch and learn something.
Yeah,
or, like,
I'm
remember
gonna
it in
push
that
it.
moment.
I'm gonna put a lot of I'm gonna throw a lot of money at getting it out on in Google Ads and everything, because we've really got some amazing stories. Oh, you've listened to a few, right?
Just just Ray Burks.
Oh, just Ray Burks. Yeah, well, God, I'm trying to get Ray. I said to Ray, like, we could do it once a fortnight with Ray because he's so beautiful.
Yeah, I know.
Such a great conversationalist and so funny. Yeah.
So I have the website link that has all the videos on it. Is that the only resource as far as reaching all the videos?
No, we're on all the podcast channels, I think, and we're in YouTube, I think. I'll write to Ben. I'll get Benji to check where we are, but we're definitely in the podcast. Some of them, I don't know if we've loaded everything, and we're in YouTube with Six Sigma is in YouTube as well.
Yeah. Podcast is great because then you can see which ones you've watched and
yeah.
Like you say,
exactly
just start at the beginning and go.
Yeah, great. All right, let's wind it up. It's an hour and 40 minutes. Went like that, mate. You know.
Geez, wow! I've never talked that long in my life. Training.
I think I took over a couple of 5-minute runs, which I don't normally do. I try not to do. I'm a talker, but I try. Anyway, Benji tells me I keep talking. Don't know, Benji.
Never.
Non-stop.
No, that's when I keep my mouth shut. No.
Well, I'll tell you Ollie's favorite saying, right? He says, you know what I like about scuba diving? He says for a whole hour, everybody has to shut the F up. and you know, when people understand Australian New Zealanders are larrikins and we don't mind our children talking like that. Like, as people might say that's so wrong, but I go, that's so right when a kid just gets that.
Get it in the right, context.
Yeah, he's not going to say it. He's not going to say it to his mum, but he's allowed to say it to me.
You know what you could do with Ollie is get those intercom systems for underwater. So when you go scuba,
they have them.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? I'm going to have a look at that. Okay, send me the link. Well, because he sings.
And then Ollie's going to bite my head off. Like,
oh God, no! But we've got the comms for the motorbikes, right? So we talk to each other when we're riding.
Well, it's in your mask.
No, but your ears are not in your mask.
I don't know how that works, but
right, maybe it's a helmet
channel. All those guys. Okay,
great. Well, he sings underwater. Like, so we're me and the coach. There's only two of us, like the guide and me. But anyway, the first day I'm going like, there's music underwater. I wonder if it's coming from some boat, because the liveaboard boats coming through the hull and coming to me in the water. I'm thinking, and then I got close to Ollie at the end of the dive, and I come back to the surface. I go, "Were you singing underwater like the whole dive?" He goes, "Yeah." She said, "Yeah, that was him." He's just every breath out almost was. And then he goes, "Which song was I singing?" Right? I go, "I've got no idea." And he said, "You should know. It's your favorite song, Hotel California." Right? But okay, so I'll give you Country Road. Country Road, take me home to the place I belong. There's a lot there. Okay, this is Hotel California. Mm-hmm. Like, there's nothing. It's a flat line, right? You can't hear any up and down. It's just like one note, the whole bloody song. How can I guess that was Hotel California?
Does that use more oxygen if you're like, exerting yourself and singing?
Yeah, but he doesn't care. He doesn't care. And I'm not that guy to go, "Hey, dude, you need to stop singing so you get." We get longer dive time. So a 50-minute dive turns into a 44-minute dive because Ollie's singing. I'll take the singing every day.
Love it.
Yeah, bless him. He's such a beautiful boy. All right, we're gonna. If you want to debrief, just say hi. Hi to Benji and whatever. Hang around, Shaun, and we'll close out with Have an epic day.
Have an epic day.
Make it a
That's
great
right.
day.
Thank you for watching or listening to another Service Six Sigma podcast. If you enjoyed the content, please like and share with other mobile service contractors. We live stream daily, Monday to Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. All previous podcasts are available for viewing at service6sigma.com. And for listening on your favorite podcast channel, just search Service Six Sigma. See you next time, and you have an epic day.